There's Lou Murphy. He was the mayor of Tucson when I first came here with my husband. He was a cool dude. So, what I want to talk about is friendship and reading people properly. We're going to meet a lot of people along the way as nomads. We've left our friends behind in our starting point of where we're from and our families, and we're going to be meeting a lot of new people along the way. So I just want to talk about some tips on how to read people. Are they going to be trustworthy? Are they going to be evil? And ways that we can project ourselves, that we are also trustworthy, and to draw people in. But I think it's important to understand human nature, and I do believe it is important to be able to look for things and know the things that we can look for if these are the kind of people that we want to hang with. So let's get started with this little journey here. First, I want to talk about some interesting psychological facts that I'd like to share. I found these online, and it really does. I want to get started with this because it has to do with trusting people and how the human mind works. So number one is delaying gratification starts when you're young. It's just I don't know if this has to do with nomad life, but I found that interesting. If you were taught as a child to delay gratification, it will carry with you. But if it was a skill that you weren't really taught, you're going to want things pretty quickly, and you're not willing to wait. So that's interesting. You want more choices than you can handle. We humans have been found through study that we want choices. We want as many choices as possible. But the human mind really can't handle that many choices, like going to the grocery store and you have rows and rows and rows of cereal and things like that. So I found that interesting, and I thought I would mention it. Humans are also, and this is for today, humans are addicted to faces. And of course, we're being asked to cover our faces, which is pretty interesting unto itself. And I think it will harm in the long run if this goes on children's development. But I mean, just look at the Man in the Moon. We see these two little dots, and there's a face. Humans are always scanning for a human face, so that's pretty interesting. We're more likely to blame people than blaming circumstances. Interesting. If somebody's late for a meeting, or they're more likely to blame that person than the circumstance that there was construction and they couldn't make it on time. So that's pretty interesting. People really can't multitask. Our minds will really only focus on one thing at a time. We can say that we multitask. What we're actually doing is going back and forth and back and forth. People who do things together, laugh together, run together, and do things are actually more synchronized. Even if their personalities might not be totally meshed in with each other, when they continually do things as a group, they will synchronize with each other. Interesting. And that could be for the nomad life. I mean, you might not totally love everybody, let's say in your caravan, but by doing things over and over, you're in the campfire, you're surrounded in the campfire, you're getting up and you're having coffee together and you're laughing, making jokes, that eventually the caravan, the group, will become synchronized. The mind wanders more than you think. 33%, a third of our thoughts, and we're trying to concentrate on our mind is wandering. Your eyes don't like red and blue together, which I found very interesting. I couldn't help but think of the police force with the red and light. Red and light together is very stressing to our eyes, and I don't want to give the red does something and then the blue does the opposite. So there's this opposite pole going on with red and blue, and it is interesting that our flag is red and blue also. We crave the familiar when we're under a lot of stress. So as a nomad, that can be a factor. I know not to go back to dog, but it was stressing, and I'll use that as an example. I'm fine, but I was stressed out with those two incidences. And then I knew that Max was going to be in the area, so I wanted to go park next to him. He was familiar. He was that familiar face, and I felt comfort with that familiar face. I didn't feel that he was going to protect me in any way, but he was familiar to me, and that, and of course I liked him. He was familiar, and that's a good example. When they say, like, if you're at the grocery store and you're stressed, you're going to always buy your familiar brands, your familiar type of foods. You can only have a maximum social size of a group in your life. I believe that when it comes down to friends, what I've heard is like maybe you have 5 good friends. Everybody else is a mere acquaintance, and they're really not your friends. We can only handle a maximum size. And I don't know exactly what that size is because it kind of varies with different studies, but yeah. And then we read faster with longer lines, but our eyes and our mind crave shorter lines. You know, like you have columns of lines, but we actually read faster with longer lines. It's an oxymoron, isn't it? Your memories get reconstructed. Your memories get reconstructed with each time that you remember that incident. It really does. Something either gets added or something gets subtracted from it. Interesting. Which is one of the reasons I talk about the past, get rid of that. Because by the time, if it's been so long, and even if it's recent, by the time you're thinking again about that memory, your past, it's been reconstructed every time you've thought about it. So, yeah, it's not really a true likeness to what really did happen in the first place. You think others are more influenced than they are. That was interesting. We think that we can really influence people, or we can change their minds. They really can't, you know. I don't know what the percentage is, but we overestimate our reaction to a future incident. Like, oh wow, I'm gonna buy a new iPhone. Oh, it's gonna be so awesome. And then I get it. It's like, oh, okay, this is it. Which by the way, I did buy my new iPhone yesterday. Yeah, it was kind of like, there was a bit of frustration because then you have to like sync it with everything, and you have to, it takes a while. So I was like, and now I have my new iPhone, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I got my new iPhone, but we really think it's going to be great, or we go somewhere, it's really going to be great, and it's like, oh, okay. Little bite-sized pieces of information is what we like best. Now, obviously, today I'm going to give you a whole bunch of little information. I'll kind of bite-size them for you, and I'll try to go kind of slow, but I do want to talk about signs that can indicate whether this person might be not a good person after you meet them. They might not be who you really want to be hanging with. So, if it's too much information, you can always go back and watch it again. So, and your words can manipulate your perception. Or any words can manipulate somebody else's perception too. For instance, if you say, I was walking down the street and I came in contact with this person and got bumped, you don't think, but if you say, this person slammed into me, your whole perception. So words really do matter. It matters in advertising. It matters when we're meeting new people and they're telling us stories. Words matter for perception. And here's interesting. You know how to do things more than we think before we even do them. And for the nomad life, that's pretty cool because there's so many things that we haven't done before. But then we actually start doing this, go, oh, okay, well, I kind of know how to do this. It's just a human mind. It's how it works. And then the last one is was kind of weird. You can literally die from a heart from a broken heart. And this might relate to the stress really can stress your heart out. And young people are kind of immune to it. It doesn't, like kill them. But like that explains how like this older couple that have been married for, 60 years and one dies and then immediately after, soon after the other one dies. So you can die from a broken heart. So don't have your heart broken, which is why we're going to talk about this. Be careful who you hang with. You might get your heart broken. You might actually get manipulated into something you don't really want to get manipulated into. As a nomad, you're going to meet people. Can you trust them? I mean, people will show you what they want to show you. Some people do it consciously or unconsciously. Can you trust somebody? You want to know these things right away because as a nomad, things do go quickly. That's what I have found. You meet somebody and you might not see them again. You want to know more about them in a quicker manner. It's not like you're going to go out to dinner and then you're going to call them in a week and everything. You could be moving in a week and you want to assess who these people are. So these are signs that you can look for if they're trustworthy people. Trust is the building block of a friendship. So let's go over some of the key signs that you can or cannot trust somebody. Somebody who's untrustworthy, they're excessively charming. They are very charming and they want to get in and they want to kind of manipulate. So they're excessively charming. I mean, these are not going to be signs, but when they exhibit 2, 3, 4 of these, yeah. So that's number one. Number two, they ask questions about you a lot, but they're really not willing to give information about themselves. And one of the reasons that they might be able to do this is when you do become friends with them, when they know these things about you, they can always hold them against you and manipulate you in that way. And they could just be small things, or it could be like, you've talked too much to them and you revealed information that, might not be savory for yourself. So beware of that. They're two-faced. One thing is they're talking to you when you first meet them and they're talking bad about other people. It might be a good sign that they're not trustworthy people. Here's a good one. They're nice to you and when it's one-on-one, but when you go in a group, they turn their back on you. That's a pretty good sign, and I've actually had that happen before. I've introduced people to somebody, or you introduce them to your friends or whatever, and maybe they will, and they'll actually, they're new to a group, but they'll turn their back on you and just kind of exclude you. These are not really trustworthy people. Also, they struggle to empathize if you tell them something, and this might not be something that like the very first encounter with that person, are they trustworthy, but maybe over a week or so you kind of get the impression that they don't really empathize with other people or yourself. They breach confidentiality. Yeah. Another one too is that they kind of keep secrets from you. They've told somebody else not to tell you about something, and it's kind of like, are they really trustworthy, or why would they be keeping secrets from you? Another one is they abuse power over you, and that goes back to if they know something about you, then they kind of abuse that. They'll kind of bring it up in a very subtle way, and then they'll bring it up, and then they'll ask you for something. Another, fickle. They make promises they cannot keep. You can kind of get a good impression of that. That it's not something they really can keep. So they fail, and then of course they fail to fulfill commitments that they make. Now I'm going to say with the nomad life, it happens all the time. A nomad is very independent, I'm finding. And for those of you who are nomads, you're fiercely independent. And you may say, well, yeah, I'll go here in like a week's time. But then after you get closer to the end of the week and you're like, that really wasn't where I wanted to go. And so, I mean, we can excuse that, but it's okay. Fulfilling commitments is something. But it shows that they really don't care about that other person. So as a nomad, it might be maybe wiser to say, well, let's get closer to the end of the week and see where we are. I think that would be better than to say, yeah, let's go, and then, you don't do it. And I think I've done that before. So, and then they show narcissistic traits, yeah. If they are a narcissist, it's really they only care about themselves. And it's only when they'll only do something when it benefits them. And then another one, too, is you just know they're lying to themselves. They portray themselves as being these saints, and it's really not true. And you kind of suspect that, too. So those are signs that they're not really trustworthy. Excessively charming. They don't really reveal anything about themselves. They're only asking you questions. They're two-faced. They gossip often. They turn their back on you in public. They struggle to empathize with other people's feelings. They breach confidentiality. They abuse power over you. They're fickle. And you can kind of tell that what they do is they don't, that they can't do these things, but they say they're going to do it, and then they never do it. They don't fulfill their commitments to other people. Narcissistic, and they lie to themselves. So, and then of course, if they lie to you, of course you can't trust them. Jordan Peterson and the 12 rules for life. One of the rules is, if you have a friend, you're hanging with somebody, and you know that they don't have your best interest at heart for you, dump them. A real friend will have your best interest at heart. They won't keep the secrets when they know that they might actually be beneficial to know these things. That's not really your friend. Or if they want to see you fail or something like that, they're not really your friend. So, yes, but this point was on how can you trust somebody when you first meet them or within the first few days of knowing them. Can you trust this person? Do you want to let that person into your life? So how to read somebody instantly. These are things to look for to read somebody instantly. 55% of our language to other people is our body language. 38% is the tone of our voice, and only 7% are words that we use. So we have to be aware of all the big picture, the whole picture of a person when you first meet them. So here are the clues, and we're going to start from the head down. Your eye contact. If somebody, I looked this up. If somebody is staring at you and they can't take their eyes off of you, they probably have romantic intentions towards you. So, if somebody keeps glancing, you have to just look at the eye contact. There are some people that don't really make good eye contact, and what I have found is they might be reading your lips. With the mask on, that's making it really difficult. Body language, reading people is much more difficult now as we're required to wear these masks in public. So it's harder to know what people's intentions are. So, look at the eye contact and the eyebrows. Then next it would be the eyebrows. When the eyebrows go up, they say it either means you're surprised, you're worried, or you're afraid. So if the eyes go up, and there's no reason for those eyes to go up, that it's going to be one of those three things. Let's see. Your smile. Well, this is going to be hard too because we were wearing masks. So, yeah. These masks are really taking away from our interactions and our inner desire for faces, the full face, not just the eyes. But if you're out boondocking, you're probably not going to have your mask on so you can see. If somebody is smiling and their eyes aren't involved in that smile, it's really a disingenuous smile. And they're just like, but when you're smiling, your eyes get involved, the little crinkles end up showing. Words. The 7%, we do pay attention to words. If somebody is telling you about somebody else and they're just full of praise about that person, they're probably a really good person. You probably want to be around that person. But if you first meet somebody and they're talking and they're just starting to put down people, that might be a good warning sign. That's a red flag right there. And the paralanguage, it's called paralanguage. That's the tone and the pitch of your voice. What tone you're using. And if it's monotone, they're probably just not interested in what you're saying at all. Yeah. And if it's sarcasm, well, they're saying one thing and meaning another. Although I have mentioned that I read a study, when people use sarcasm, they're actually really highly intelligent people know how to use sarcasm very well. But when you're first meeting somebody, you really don't want to be dealing with sarcasm, do you? I mean, And then, of course, if they're side glancing, when you're talking to somebody and they start side glancing, not just looking off like they're thinking of something, because that's thinking of something, but when they start side glancing, it means they're looking for an escape. They want to get away from you. So that's one way that you can read somebody instantly. Frequent nodding. They're nodding their head all the time. Basically what that means is they're kind of worried about what you're thinking about them and they want to just keep agreeing with you. They're worried about what you think of them. So it also could mean, could you hurry it up? I'm getting tired of talking to you and hearing about this little thing. You might be doing that right now. Go, Lee, go. Yeah, get finished, yeah. So frequent nodding is, kind of a weird thing to deal with when you're first meeting somebody. The chin and the jaw, sometimes, the chin, they're thinking of something. Yeah. But one thing about the jaw is when you can see that it's clenched. They're stressed out. They're stressed out and they're not relaxed at all. Whatever you can take from that. Maybe there's other signs you can get from that, not just a clenched jaw, but with something else. That they're stressed out people. Maybe they're always stressed. Rubbing their hands. Usually rubbing their hands together means that they're really excited about something. That's what we do when we're really excited about something. They say that what is in our head, we broadcast in our hands, which kind of goes with what I say. What you hold in your head, you hold in your hands. So, your hands, tell the story. Yes. Yes. The handshake. Now, I don't know. These things are probably going to have to be a little revised. The handshake. A lot of people aren't shaking hands anymore. Or they're doing a fist bump and then they don't even contact. But that means that I like you. I think that means I like you. Ooh, fist bump. Yeah, they're glad to meet you. But if you do shake their hands, people say, see, I don't really go for this. A really strong handshake, is that like they're trying to overtake you personally? A really, really strong handshake? I'll tell you, especially older females, I wouldn't appreciate if somebody actually shook my hand really hard, because that would hurt. I don't like that. Older people don't like that. And you shake your hand all the time, it can hurt the bones in your hand. Now, they say a really soft handshake means it's just, they're not really warm. I don't really buy into that anymore, because I think as I've gotten older, there's so many other factors to a handshake. They could mean all kinds of things. They lean in or away. That's a big one. I think you can't really hide that. That's so subconscious. If they're leaning in, when you're talking to somebody and they're leaning in, and that means that they really want to know what you have to say. But if they're kind of leaning back, they're kind of leaning away, they're just not that interested. And those are good things to know right off the bat, because people do meet, nomads meet other nomads in sometimes kind of a gathering thing. And it wasn't too long ago that in Plamosa, went to High Jolly, and there was this pre-party. It's like you knew who you wanted to hang with and who you didn't. You knew who wanted to hang with you and who didn't. You just got that impression. You saw the body language, and they just weren't that interested. So, yeah, it's good to know, because we do get together and we do have gatherings. Your crossed arms and legs. When you're talking to somebody and you're kind of open, and all of a sudden the legs cross and the arms, they're closed off. They're done. They're just done. And if there was their legs, if they were just crossing their legs, that might be like, well, they were trying to get comfortable. Yeah, but when the arms go crossed too, they're pretty much done. And what they're doing is a barrier, and they're kind of like physically blocking you off. Also, when they cross their legs, which if the leg that's crossed and it's leaning towards you, that is facing parallel with you, they are trying to bring you into their circle. If they cross their opposite leg and the open leg, the leg that's crossed, is away from you, they're kind of putting a barrier up. If the feet start moving towards the door, they want to escape. So there's some signs to instantly know a little bit more about a person that you first meet. We all like to think of people as inherently good. It's just human nature. Most of us, anyways, like to think that. But, there are truly some evil people out there. And as nomads, we're going to run across a few of them here and there. And so we have to really learn to follow our instincts. Let the Holy Spirit talk to you, if that's where your belief system is. Some people call it the third eye. I mean, whatever you call it. I call it the Holy Spirit. It is in me and gives me discernment. But there are also signs out there. There could be people who are running from the law as nomads. There are people who are highly functioning, but they have a mental disorder. They have a mental illness, and which keeps them isolated and out. They do best out there. But they're highly functioning, so they have the money and they have their vehicle. And then there are people who just are evil. They're just evil. So here are some signs of a truly evil person. They lie. You can tell that they're lying. They don't just lie for their own purpose. They lie because they enjoy it. They love to lie. They love to manipulate. And the first signs of that when you first meet somebody, I don't know, but you can kind of sense that, ooh, I'm being manipulated here. Maybe they're manipulating your emotions or something like that. They actually find joy in people's failures. They want people to fail. Yeah, that's kind of an evil person, really. And I mean, and that's not uncommon. I mean, sometimes even family members, they find great joy when their siblings fail at something. It makes them feel better. So they don't do anything for anybody unless it serves them first. So, yeah. How about just giving off a really bad vibe? We have to listen. They always say people will tell us who they are if we will only listen. Yes. And then you meet somebody, after you talk to them a while, it seems like they could do no wrong. It's everybody else's fault, but they could do no wrong. They seem to be full of hate inside of them. You can kind of sense it. And they hide their true selves. And that's where it comes in when the trustworthy, is they always want to know about you, but they don't want to reveal anything about themselves. And actually, I hadn't exaggerated in Salt Lake City. I hadn't exaggerated that. I found that odd. I met this guy, and he was from the Congo. He said he's from the Congo and everything. But that was the only thing he revealed about himself. He was constantly asking me questions. He was always asking me questions. When I asked him a question, he just clammed up on it. And I said, why don't you want to talk about yourself? I'm curious about who you are. And he would just go about asking me questions like, I don't think so. Yeah. And I kind of moved away from him. And they feel entitled. They feel entitled. Everything should be handed to them. I've met people along the way that this was one of the signs. I mean, they didn't exhibit much more, but they did exhibit this as somebody had told me, oh yeah, they were going to look for somebody that could do this for them. And I kind of looked at them because I'm into like success and filling my future and working towards my future. And I kind of asked him, I said, well, why would you want that to be handed to you? Why wouldn't you just work for it yourself? But he really didn't have an answer. So yeah. So those are things that can indicate that a person really is an evil person. Evil. Yeah. And you don't want to be around those people, because once they get into your life, yeah, you don't even want them to get a stronghold inside of your life, inside of your head, in your heart. So how do you deal with these people if they did get in? Yeah. How do intelligent people deal with disastrous personalities, evil personalities, untrustworthy personalities, toxic personalities? Well, toxic people love unnecessary drama. And so you've got to learn how to deal with this drama with these people. Number one, intelligent people will set limits. If people will complain and wallow, and they want to, and they want to bring others down, don't get sucked into it. It's like, if somebody was smoking a cigarette next to you, would you just stand there and let it, get the secondhand smoke? No, you would move. So you need to set limits. Move if they're around you. You can just, yeah. And you can set times when you are around them if they're already in your life. And it could be a sibling, it could be a family member, it could be somebody who's maybe in a caravan with you. It could be somebody that's parked next to you, they're a friend of somebody that you're parking next to. You can just set the limits on that. And establish boundaries. Rise above them on the when and where, like I mentioned previously. You set when and where. So, yeah, you don't have to just do what they say. If they're toxic, yeah. But if they're really toxic, you need to kind of get away from them permanently, but sometimes that's not always the case. And you can ignore them. Now, if you're alone with somebody who's in your life and they're toxic and you're alone with them, that might not always be a good idea, they say, because they can really retaliate against you. But if you're in a group of people, you can just ignore them. It's like, okay, let somebody else deal with them at that point. Don't share secrets with them. You shouldn't don't share secrets. I mean, probably don't share it. Probably shouldn't share secrets. You don't tell people secrets really with anybody. If it's your business, that's your business. You don't have to tell everybody all your family life history and things like that. Those are your secrets. And don't tell other people your secrets. And another thing too is with toxic, don't be telling other people. Don't be making secrets with other people against your friends if they're your real friends. Don't say, well, don't tell them that, okay? Don't do that. That's toxic. Recognize and ignore insults. And these are going to be little subtle insults from toxic people. Oh, only you could pull that outfit off, or you always do well, I guess, when you try, and things like that. Those are subtle insults. Just ignore them, and eventually you'll be able to laugh at them. Yeah. Allow liars to trip themselves up, because eventually they will. If they're lying and it's over the course, like you're in a caravan with them and they're toxic, or a family member or something, and they're lying about something, just give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves, just like, okay, And don't fall prey to their pity. There are so many people that have this pity party going on. It's called self-pity. Yeah, it's like their little pity party. Those people, you know what it really is? It's manipulation. Don't let them manipulate you. I've met a lot of people like that. In fact, I can remember a couple times doing it myself. I recognized it right off. I was like, ooh, that's not a good look. No. Don't fall prey to their self-pity. Stand up to bullies. A lot of people don't stand up to them. They know they're bullying and they'll walk away, but actually stand up to them and say, why are you doing this? Or why, and stand up to bullies if they're bullying somebody else. Just stand up to them. That's really what they need. They almost, maybe they're actually asking, I don't know psychology of that, but it just came to me. Maybe they're asking for somebody to stand up to them because maybe they can't stop themselves. Stay aware of your emotions. Regroup if you feel that your emotions are moving forward in a direction you don't want them to go. Just step back and regroup yourself. Because it could be, okay, here's an instance. You could say, well, just walk away. Well, what if you're at the campfire and there's somebody, maybe sitting next to you, talking to you, and you're starting to, with what they're saying, they're starting to evoke some emotions that you really are uncomfortable with. Just regroup, look the other way, maybe move and regroup and get a hold of yourself, because the emotions are held in here and this can control it. Just say, okay, this is, I'm not going to let this, start moving in that direction. Squash any negative self-talk that they may have induced in your mind. They've kind of worked you in that direction and made you doubt yourself. Don't do never do self-negative talk. And in fact, I'm going to say, and I've read this, don't ever say anything negative about yourself. Your body, it will get in. Words matter. Yeah. Spend time with your loyal friends, even if that means calling your friend up or a child that you're really close to. Call them up and talk to them from where you started your journey from, your original home. I mean, call them and talk to them. It really, I did that the other day. I called my good friend in Phoenix and I, just talked to her, and it made me feel so good. And thank you, my friend. Yeah, it just makes you feel good and know that you're cared about. Yeah, that's one person that, I have a few, but that's one person that has my best interest at heart, and just need to connect up with them. Avoid conflict, just avoid it. If they want to start getting into conflict, just like I said, do a reset and just avoid it. Maybe move your chair if you're in a campfire, or you're at a gathering, or let's say you're just meeting somebody for the first time and they sense kind of toxic. Just say, well, and just avoid them so you can avoid the conflicts. Another thing too is it's so political now, people do talk politics out here as nomads, and I never appreciate it if they're not on my side, but I don't reveal to anybody my politics. It's really nobody's business. I mean, that's what voting is. I have one vote and I use it, and it's nobody's business what my vote was. And as far as religion goes, they say don't talk about religion. Well, that's fine. I don't per se talk about religion. I like to offer that this is what I believe, but I don't expect you to believe that. This is you. And I will actually listen to what they believe in. I find it interesting. Yes. Stay goal-oriented. Yes. That's where I'm kind of at right now. Staying focused on my goals. Yes. And then knowing that I have the right to be happy. I have that right. And so do you. You have the right to be happy. You have the right to be who you are. Nobody else in the world is like you. We're all unique. So you deserve to be who you are. And I think you owe it to the world to be who you are. Don't let somebody else be who you are. And you have that right. So those are my tips. I know it's a lot of information. You can always go back, but let me know what you think. And I just thought it was applicable to right now. And a lot of people are going to be going to the courtside boondocking, and they're going to be meeting all kinds of new people, as I have. And I think these are good tips to look out for. We don't have to let everybody into our lives. And as much as we want to think this, not everybody is a really good, sincere, authentic character. And another thing too is a lot of times we want to, in our minds, we want to perceive a certain person as we want to perceive them instead of who they really are. So people do tell us who they are. We just need to listen. So look for these signs, and like I said, look in your heart and if you perceive something or you get your intuition is telling you something, listen to it. And stay safe out there, everybody. Stay free, but stay safe. I'm in Tucson right now. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. But if you all recognize, this is from last spring I was here, and I always loved this little spot right here. So I thought I'd come back. Love you guys.